Sure.
Okay. Okay, so let's just introduce ourselves here, just here, like something natural so people who know who we are. Well, everyone, hi, my name is Brandon, and yeah, you know all of me right now, True Living, and here is Anthony. Would you like to introduce yourself, Anthony?
Yeah, sure. Hi there. Namaste. My name is Anthony, and I currently run a company called Live Up, and we are always doing different meditations, making videos and content. We're posting on Instagram a lot, and we sell cloaks. So that's me.
And Josh, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Joshua. I am a writer, and I have a YouTube channel called Psionic Designs, and I teach meditation, energy work, and how to rearrange your consciousness in the way you choose.
That's perfect.
Namaste.
And namaste. And so now today, Anthony is going to guide us through some chi exercises. But first, we're going to talk about what is chi specifically, Anthony. If you can just let's begin first with a conversation of what is chi in essence in beginning for it.
Yeah, sure. So chi has many names, and it's been called chi, ki, with a K or with a Q, prana or kundalini. In India or China, you have different names for these things. When I was in China, you have chi, and through the practice of qigong, you've heard of like tai chi as well. So in essence, you connect with the life force that binds us. I mean, a great way to kind of modernize it or put it into a common realm is think about the Force from Star Wars. This energy that binds us all. And when you look at everything, look at atoms and down into their basic forms, they're wavelengths, they're energy. It's just oscillation and vibration, which then manifests into points of energy. And these are all the same thing. They're all connected. They're just on different frequencies. And we are now understanding through science, through quantum physics, that there is an observer and there is something that can interplay and intertwine with this energy and change the outcome of experiments that have been done. So overall, it's the energy that binds us. It's the unified field theory, if you've heard of that as well, the string theory. So in a nutshell, that's what we understand chi as scientifically. And spiritually, it's so much more than just an idea or a concept. It's your very being. It's that sense of awe, that sense of inspiration, but it's also fear and dread. It's all things that constantly feed back from the universe and through us and all forms of life around us.
That's great. So how would you like to begin first, Anthony? Like with a meditation first? Would you like to guide us for a meditation?
Certainly, yes. Yeah. So before we start playing with chi, it's very good to quiet the monkey mind, as they say, and stop all the chatter. Let's just forget about the day and where we're going, what we've been doing. So with that, let's close our eyes and just start to focus the mind on the breath. Paying attention and keeping your body effortlessly standing. Your postures should be effortless. If you notice anything that needs adjusting, just slowly and gradually bring it into being. Just be at peace. Imagine being on a beach, anything that gives you peace and tranquility. Start to slow down. Forget the day. Try and forget your identity if you can. What will naturally happen is we will hone into the senses. Notice more about what you hear, what you feel, any scents or aromas in the air. Even with your eyes closed, you will start to notice that it's not all just black, nothingness. There are many things happening behind your eyes and your visual centers. When you dream, you don't have your eyes open. So tapping into that, tapping into all the senses, it's little stimulus, little external stimulus. Rest and take a few breaths here. Trying to elongate them, not forcing. Just riding them naturally. Once there's a nice rhythm, ease in, ease out. You change from exhaling to inhaling. Let it be a wave that slowly crests and falls. So how do we feel? A bit more centered, a bit more peaceful? So, how do you feel, Brandon?
Feel great. Literally just here that right now around this time, this is where I usually do my 2 meditation sessions. So this is really connecting with my sessions. It really just allows my muscles to really just relax and just ease.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, we really carry a lot of tension in the shoulders and neck, mainly around the hips, and other places as well, depending on the person. But it's nice to let all that just sink away for a while and let the awareness penetrate the whole body rather than just being up here. We usually operate in society behind our eyes and we stay focused, like in a head trip. You don't let the chi sink and flow. So, ultimately, it's your focus, your awareness. When you believe that you are your brain, solely your brain, you'll just focus all your chi here. And that's not what it's about. You have so much more available. That's what we're going to get into today.
Is it the unison between the brain and the heart as well?
Exactly.
The connection between the Trinity, the mind, the body, and the thoughts. Is the unison between all those three aspects of ourselves.
Yeah, amazing.
So
shall we just jump straight?
Yeah, we can go for it. What would you want to do next? What did you have planned for us in this exercise?
So we'll start by just being able to sense the chi with a simple exercise using the hands. And after that, we will move it a bit further on and we'll stand up and try to realize this throughout the whole body. And after that, I'll go through some other exercises or suggest some further exploration of that and how we can interact and use this as well as direct it and store it for later use.
Great, perfect.
So my hands are a little cold because it's pretty chilly out here. It's winter after all. So it always helps, even if you're warm, to stimulate the chi or the awareness in the hands, if you want to use your hands, of course. So I'm going to start rubbing my hands together and you can do the same. Just get to the point where, you can feel that little buzz after it, you know what I mean? And after doing this, just keep them a small distance apart. I think, Josh, you've probably already gotten quite adept at this. And you have as well, Brandon. You've been practicing this for a few days now, haven't you?
Yeah.
And so I'll explain what we will do with directing the mind here. We need to focus on the nerves in our fingers, our palms, our hands, and just really try and focus all of our awareness into the hands. And particularly, we want to focus on trying to sense the barrier, what's just beyond the barrier of the skin between the hands. And your nadi point is actually here on the wrists, just where they end. And that extends throughout smaller points throughout your hand. So if you focus just beyond the skin, try to feel warmth, energy, magnetism, however you believe it to be. It's important to believe. Forget everything if you don't believe in this stuff, and just run wild for a while. Humour me. We should start to sense the directing focus and attention here. There's a feeling like there is a presence between your hands, or just lingering on the edges of the skin. And we'll take a few moments here to let that sink in, so it realizes. Once you feel like you've got something, you can just start to nudge it, and always find that a good way to do this is to start making small circles. You're not rigid and forcefully like you're tensing your muscles, just effortlessly let your hands linger and start to play with each other. It's a dance. You start to feel like there's a little sort of magnetic repulsion or attraction. Just hone in on that spot and let it play. You can see Josh is moving around and pushing and pulling. These, however you want to do it. I mean, you could be doing this, and you could be lifting up and down. As long as you're playing with the belief that there's something there, it will start to manifest inside your mind. Use the placebo effect, essentially, to your advantage. And that's a good entry point into getting this to work for you. So how are we doing?
There is a type of magnetic feeling in my hands. There is.
Okay, great. So what we can do now, if you match it with the breath, so in a sense, we'll just start with this one. As you breathe in, expand or contract, whichever feels better for you. And see, when you exhale, do the opposite. The idea is to match this with what we've just been doing in sensing the attraction and repulsion. It should start to become stronger for you. You may start to feel like you have a taffy, like a toffee or a kind of sticky substance. One thing that goes beyond that, this is obviously something that should be practiced, if you've never done it before, should be practiced for 5, 10, 15 minutes repeatedly for a while till it starts to really sink in and you start to really feel something there that you're manifesting. But then after that, if you imagine that there is an external force pushing on your hand. So breathe in and push it one way. Breathe out and push it the other way. Really try not to move your hand. I mean, at first, just keep it still and just slowly, very minutely, let it give in to that movement that you're generating. Using the breath is great, and gradually the movement scales, becomes larger, and you will feel effortless in doing this. I mean, I really don't feel like I'm putting any effort into this. It's just slowly growing. The more energy I give to it over time. At this point, it starts to become a bit more presence, and maybe you'll start to feel something quite strong at this point. So the next logical step is, what can we do with this? And so, okay, I can move my hand and it feels effortless. Great, what can I do with that? You know, what's the point? So we can do a few things, but for now, let's take that energy we've manifested, contain it, keep it flowing, but we're starting to build something of substance, something you can say, okay, it feels like there is this chi between my hands. And at first, when I first did this, I breathed it in. Just let it go. Breathe in deeply. Just notice any feelings or sensations. Alternatively, if you take this ball of energy, sink it down, place it just below your navel, which is called the lower dantian qigong in Chinese practices. This is the energy center, the storehouse for all of your qi. Scientifically and biologically, we can look at the gut, and we know that it's the greatest mass in our body. The greatest biological mass we have is our intestines. We know how long they are when we stretch them out. And think about a capacitor, or how we generate, we use induction and uses masses of copper coils. They store vast amounts of electricity. It's also where we get our energy from. We have our food and water coming through the intestinal tract and giving us energy throughout our whole body through this place. So if you believe that you're putting energy into here, and you have it penetrate your body, resonate through you, it will hold for a lot longer in this center. Similarly, you can then go forwards and do this all around you. You can focus on points which may struggle. If you feel tension in the back of the head, or feel chastised, anything like that, you can focus on these areas, link them with massage and things like that.
That is very great. So, in a sense, how do we really connect with this? Is there a certain elements that can we connect to our sources of energy? Is there nature? Is there any source of our sources of energy where we can connect to?
Yeah,
Everything.
like you said, nature is a great one. Yeah, it's everything. Yeah. I mean, the best thing is to do what you feel is pure. I mean, everyone has a spiritual aspect to themselves, or a naturist, a kind of connection to something they feel is greater than themselves, whether that's religion or another spiritual practice, or it's just eating good food and feeling good about life. Whatever you connect to, use that link. What we're doing here with what's already present in your life of generating that spiritual feeling. And slowly but surely it will branch out. And just like Josh said, it's everything. It branches out into absolutely everything. And we're talking about the connection to the universe here. So it's really is limitless.
What's beautiful
so, I mean,
there?
to suggest, sure.
Of course, yes.
I just wanted to expand that little bit right there.
Yeah, please.
It's the universe, so think of it like a circle, right? And you're in the center of the circle. And so everything exists on some angle or space within or at the edge of the circle. What's beautiful about this concept of chi and what Anthony is saying is it's your own practice that you connect to. If you're Christian, you could pray to God. If you're Muslim or Islamic, either of those would work where you would pray to God or Allah. And if you are pagan, then you're used to the elements of nature, air, earth, fire, and water. If you're, it's the Taoists that have so you get my point. I'm going way too far off of my point, and back into the idea of they all have a cosmological model for the elements. So whichever one works for you, you're going to naturally expand into, like Anthony's saying.
Yeah, perfect, Josh. That's it. Yeah, it's unique to everyone. Everyone has their own path. So don't aim to. You can follow other people and see what external what input is there, but it's refined by yourself, and you are your own master. You're on your own journey, and it's unique. So why fall in line behind someone else? You can do for a while. It's good to do that.
It's basically like you're basically like controlling the energy aspect of who you are inside of yourself by basically like how the energy comes through our crown chakras and then down to the root and then around again in the toroidal field. We're basically, I feel like that we're just channeling that energy into our palms and then healing. I see it as the teacher, or I don't know how to pronounce his name clearly, Oshu. Do you know the one who first began Reiki energy healing?
Yes, Sway.
Usui, yes, Usui. And he started it by basically just asking Christians and other people who have beliefs that if they believe in miracles, in the power of making miracles, and then after they went and said, of course they do because of God. And then after they went and asked him do you believe in miracles? And he said, yes, of course, that he can make a miracle happen by healing, by just simply channeling energy into his palms and healing the person by just touching their auric field, in essence. Mm-hmm. So how would you guys want to expand further upon this conversation? Like, would you like to do some exercises, or do you have any more insights and wisdom about chi that you'd like to offer everyone here, Joshua and Anthony?
Well, there is another exercise we can go into shortly, but I mean, if you have anything you want to say, Joshua, then go ahead.
I could talk for days on the subject. So I wanted to actually ask about, the water?
Yes.
Is that the exercise we were going to do?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I'm really interested in that one.
Okay, sure. So what we've just done is sensing the and beginning personal connection to what chi is. And so once you begin to feel that, and once it becomes real enough for you to generate at will, and you can easily just get into this in 30 seconds or something, then there's a lot more you can do with it. So I wanted to jump into an exercise which, just like you said, kind of influences the entire system of the body. You start to feel this resonate all around you rather than just in the palms. This is just obviously a great place to start because we are so used to, we have such great senses in our hands, and we feel and touch things all the time. So it's really, really good to start with the hands. But ultimately, it's great to do a full body practice. And so I don't know if you've got space, but I can always just show here, and feel free to jump up and join in if you can. So to set this up, I'd say, if you have any practice you do already, like Tai Chi, even if you do dance or any form of martial arts, anything you have like a physical flowing practice that gets the body into motion, you can connect to that and use that. So you don't need to specifically learn Tai Chi or qigong, Falun Gong, or any of these exercises. But there is an exercise within the Falun Dafa practice or Falun Gong practice, which is very good for expanding upon what we've just been doing with the hands. Let me take a step back here. You guys still hear me okay?
Yeah, of course.
Yep. Okay, great. So you stand in mountain pose. And what you want to do is begin generating that chi between your hands. Get it to a point you feel confident with it, free flow. Play with it for a while and get it really present. So let's just take a moment to do that. Just to sink the body, let your knees bend a little. Your back straight and stacked on your hips, but not slouching. Really needs to be effortless. As soon as you start to put in any force or rigidity, you kind of just kill this. Because, like I said, it's a dance, and you do need to give it respect in a sense. So you see it as a living thing. So if you get a person, you start punching and pushing them around, they're not going to want to dance with you anymore. So be graceful, be fluid, going into that tranquility. So once you have something here, you're going to fall down, sink, and just sweep and take. Imagine you're grabbing from the ground and pull up the back of your legs, up to your spine, so your arms get to the point where they need to come around. And we go to the shoulders. Wash the shoulders. Imagine this energy field is just washing and purifying through your bones and through your body. So we'll start again. So you go down, sweep around, and come up the backs of your legs, up the backs of the thighs. We've got to get this off, isn't it? Backs of the thighs, lower back. And when you get to the point your arms can't really get up there, but don't go too far, just nice and easy, sweep around to your shoulders, down the arms. When you get to this point, switch over, keep the ball.
It's ready.
Okay, great.
It was such that I wonder what happened. What kicked us out?
I saw in the bottom left of the screen, it said there was a timer on the recording, which I think it hit the limit and stopped, because I guess this is a free trial or something like that.
Oh no, but every time I used it, there was no trial. That's weird.
Oh, strange.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's not there now, so okay. Anyway.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Take this off. This was the way last time.
Okay, it gave us a new chance, like Joshua said. Okay.
Right. Okay. So with the exercise we've just been practicing, We're going to utilize that for this and spread the energy around the body and let it sink into structure. So, again, let's just refresh this, get the pulse back. Generate the chi center between you. And to slow down again and reset. Once you have it, just slowly and gracefully sink down. Keep that energy with you. Sweep around the ground like you're collecting more. And just let it rise up the back of your legs. Imagine you're painting yourself. And then pull your arms up across your chest, your shoulders. Your arms across this, your shoulders. And then they both wash each other until you reach this pose where you have the ball still in your hands. Rotate round to the other side, back over the head to meet the point you left off on your back, and bring it over the head, back of the neck, back of the head, round, down, sinking down your chest, and then you start again. It's like sweeping, opening up the energy, rising up the back to your upper back. You switch to your shoulders, washing each arm with the other arm. Connecting back to the point where you have the ball, flipping it over. When you do this, you kind of reinvigorate, like kickstarting the engine up again, breathe some more life back into it. This should be really effortless, the whole flow, just as little physical energy as possible, more mental energy. Flipping it around, over to the back, joining where you left off, over the head, like a waterfall cascades down. To start again. It takes a while to get the routine. Once you have the memorized routine, it's a lot easier to invest the chi in. So let's go one more time. Just, I won't say anything, but we'll just really try and bring this chi we've manifested into the body and let it sink in. Feel the connection with the gender. So just instead of sinking down, just rest the hands here. Nice circle around the body this way. Imagine you're holding that disc of energy you've just created. Play with it again, it's always a dance. Let it oscillate around, start to weigh down, whichever gives it the greatest presence and vibrance or energy. Once it's become something stronger than it was before, interlock the fingers, close the thumbs, bring your hands over your lower abdomen, belly button. Imagine this energy was collected in the focal point between us. Thank the universe for this gift. Thank yourself, manifesting, dancing with the universe. Let it sink in. The last thing we can do with this, once we have this collection of energy circling around the body and it becomes more present, the last thing I'd like to offer is to take what you're going to eat or drink and spend some time with it. Treat it as though it is a living being. Imagine the energy you've collected pulsing or passing into that body of water in this case. And thank it. Thank it for the life it will give you, the journey it's taken. We have an infinite imagination we can use to bring this to life and to invest into it, give gratitude. You can even say thank you. The vibrations of your voice are very powerful. And give them direction. Thank you for being here today, for indulging in this practice. Thank you. Namaste. Mighty good water.
That was great.
I'm glad you liked it.
So let us just quickly just shift around again, and then we'll continue this discussion.
Sure.
So I was wondering, Joshua, you said you were Reiki master. Could you tell us some of your experiences with Reiki?
Well, my first experience was in, what was that, 2001, and that's where I got my first degree attunement, and it was very interesting because there were 3 Reiki masters there, and one of them was a new Reiki master, and so I was one of his first attunements in the class of people that were there. Well, they led us down this guided meditation, and I went really deep during the guided meditation. And I had, as he began the attunement, I had this dream vision, for lack of a better word, that was more like a past life memory of me and him both being monks in the mid 1800s, and I was a Buddhist monk and he was a Taoist monk, and we were having a philosophical conversation, and the conversation ended with him stabbing me in the heart from behind. And when I came out of that, apparently that experience for me was when he was doing the attunement, and he said, he described it as like all my chakras exploded, and it actually the other two Reiki masters came over to help him finish up the attunement, but we talked about that vision afterwards, and the interesting thing is he'd been having dreams about that conversation for weeks leading up to that day. And after that, anytime I walked through a security alarm that was registered to those little metal tags, if I was carrying any metal, they would go off. And that lasted for about a year and a half. And the only way I could get it to stop happening was my Reiki master told me to imagine myself as being coated like the insulated pliers, electrical pliers. And so if I would focus on that, then I wouldn't have those alarms go off when I was going in and out of a store and get strip searched, which was never fun. But it was a really great learning experience for me to see that this energy could create really physical effects. And from there, I got a little scared of it, stopped using it for a little while, and then found my way back into studying it. And from there, I've seen it do very interesting things. The most important to me has been in the ability to help resolve the emotional burdens that people carry from trauma.
Oh wow!
Great.
And
Nice
so
awakening.
so what about you, Anthony? Have you ever had an experience where you just felt an immense energy coming towards you, just like Anthony? Do you have a similar experience with Reiki?
Well, it wasn't with Reiki. It was actually it was a different experience. It was a very awakening experience. I definitely would call that my awakening. But it's a very long subject. I could get into it for a long time and talk about it for hours. But it involved a very, very heavy dose of psilocybin mushrooms, and it really changed my life. It rocked my world. Yeah, and it was the best and worst experience of my life to date. It was quite something, and it took about a year for me to actually recover from that, or just get it out of my head. I mean, like a year, every single day, things were coming back to me. This experience was just plaguing my existence, and I had to integrate it. I had to come back from the edge of insanity, so to speak. But yeah, that's probably a conversation for another time.
Okay. Well, I actually wanted to ask both of you this question. Like, I just wanted to actually say this here on the side chats, but now I have a chance to ask both of you, see if you have any insights on this. That when we take, like, let's say, any sort of substances like cannabis or whatever, do you think actually that it increases the energy flow that comes towards us? Do you think that we can actually start to actually feel the sensation in our palms and in our bodies? Do you actually think that is actually a true possibility?
Yeah, definitely. I think
that,
go for it, Joshua.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I jumped in.
I was just going to say, I think that anytime you absorb something, you are by nature absorbing energy. So the rational answer would be yes. That's all I had.
Yeah, anything you put in your body is giving you something. In the case of certain psychoactive drugs, you mentioned cannabis, for example. What they do for me, I mean, and what I've seen they do for others, everyone's unique in their own sense, but what they do for me is sense to kind of creates a burst, creates like a very quick burst of life. So the energy you've accumulated through physical exercise, listening to music, the emotions and stimulus you've been putting into yourself is kind of released, and that's in whatever you focus on. So, people after smoking cannabis, the next day they could feel a bit more drained or feel a bit, what's the word, feeling heavy or
foggy.
Foggy, yeah, that's the word. Yeah, foggy, yeah. So you're not as sharp as you were, but I mean that's a good thing in some sense because we're so tightly wound, we're so highly strung in society, especially if you're working a standard 9 to 5 job in retail or something like that. You'll be very highly strung and you're forced to do a lot of tasks very quickly and as efficiently as possible to the minute, or that's it. You're gone. So these things start to just unwind us and let us sink down, be more present in the moment, and then they activate different areas of our psyche. So yeah, they give us something, and they can activate different areas. I mean, you can learn to direct these things in different ways, but ultimately, like we said on that spirit side chat. They shouldn't be overused and they shouldn't be like the shortcut. They're very good to just like catch a glimpse of something that you want to get to, but don't start using them as a crutch because then, your whole kind of connection to that place you're trying to get to is through the substance, and you don't end up manifesting it slowly through your natural causes or through your sobriety, which is very important.
Oh wow. Just in like now, do you have any like experiences that you feel like would you want to share one of those experiences that you've had with that you said that is a long story? Would you like to share one of those experiences?
Yeah, okay, sure. So what happened for us was me and 2 other friends, we took a trip to Amsterdam for our it was like a joint 21st birthday. Our birthdays were all linked in together. We ended up not doing much research on the whole thing. We went to a shop, bought the highest grade of psilocybin mushrooms we could get. We all went back to our hotel room and ate the whole box each. So we each took about 20 grams of the dragon's breath or psilocybin Hawaiiana mushrooms. I ended up having about 10 grams of my other friends because he got sick, and he actually ended up being like the rock in the group because he was still in a sober mind, and I don't know what would happen otherwise. But we started to notice strange things at first. The guy in the shops told us we should smoke some weed and eat some dark chocolate to enhance the effects as well. So it was really like the biggest punch in the face we could have got while we were there. And I just remember at first things just seemed all, shiny and bright, and you start getting like these visuals in a sense, not anything that's not real. You start looking at things in a different way and start to notice like everything's living or everything's pulsing. And at that point we decided to leave the hostel. We went outside to the river, smoked some cannabis, ate our dark chocolates, and it got to the point where we started to just feel like it was beyond what we were comfortable with. And so we very quickly made our way back to the hotel room because it just felt like something was coming on. We hadn't come up fully yet. So at that point, we wanted to start running up and talking to people and say like, this is great, and you need to. We started going on the typical high person's trip and being all spaced out and stuff. We got back into the hotel room. A few weird things happened on the way, but I'm going to try and just skip over and give as brief as possible explanation. Got back to the hotel room, and everything started to become like clear. And I remember one of my friends, Ross, said this very, very well. He said it was pure clarity. Any question you had, any thought you had, was just answered. You felt like you just understood what was happening around you, and we started to because we were talking to each other, asking things, and I was like, oh yeah, and we got the answer. We were like, oh, it makes sense that this is the right answer, whatever we were saying, and it started to become very quick. We started to understand what the person was going to say or what their reaction was without them really uttering anything, and then it really freaked us out. We started to think, well, how do I, I'm okay, I might be just reading your body, but then how am I understanding what you're saying, and what I'm saying to you without us really talking? And we started to get really scared of the whole thing. We thought we were hearing each other's voices in our own heads and things like that, and we were like holding our mouths shut to make sure we were not just tripping out and not seeing lips move and things like that. So it really went in some crazy places. And eventually, for myself, I remember getting to the point where I felt full of energy, like I was going to burst. Like if I didn't get this energy out of me, I would explode or something. So in my mind, the whole universe had just been dumped into me. And I was just like this little ball. How can I cope with this amount of input? And so for me, in my mind, I needed to release something. I needed to channel it, to get it out. And that translated into me standing in the middle of the room, shouting my head off at the top of my voice, and waking up the whole hotel. I had to, the sober one who stopped eating, had to clasp my mouth and stop me from shouting. Someone came to the door and immediately snapped out of it. This was very strange because while we were all together, it was like things were just being torn apart. Like the world was changing before our eyes, so to speak. But then there was outside influence and we snapped back into sobriety in a sense. Someone knocked on the door. Is everything okay in there? Very distressed. And we were just, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we're fine. Don't worry, no problem. As soon as they went away, it was just poof, back into this crazy zone again. And I kind of blacked out. In my head, like I said, I was seeing the universe kind of being dumped into me and all this explosion, craziness happening. I was shouting in the room again. My friend said he saw me do a front flip across the room and I put my foot through the wall. And to me, it felt like I had tried to put out so much that it was imploding and I had to kind of like I had to force everything back through out the other side. So everything I kind of had to implode and go back to the beginning to really manifest again or get back to the real world, so to speak. So for me, it felt like everything was closed in because obviously I've just jumped across the room, put my foot through the wall, and I land between the bed and the wall. So everything feels really cramped in for me. And it felt like that had started happening. So I continued shouting. All the while, it's through all these things, there's so many realizations coming to me in my head about what's going on. And I start to really understand what people mean. And I've seen lots of spiritual people talk and all these religious things. And I was always like, yeah, okay. I was an atheist, very scientifically minded and didn't believe in any kind of notions of spirituality or chi or anything like that. But it all started to make sense. And all these little things were just flying thoughts, a million miles a second. So while this is all happening, that's what's going on in my mind. There were a lot more things that happened, but I don't want to keep rambling on about it. It was a very life-changing experience. I remember at one point the whole room was glowing golden, and I felt just in awe in the presence of this magnificent creation that's unfolded before us. And so on the two ends of the spectrum, there was that great feeling of like being in the presence of God, and there was the death and destruction and void, like complete emptiness and loneliness and just abandonment or any possible feeling of negativity. I was like stretched to this side of the spectrum and this side of the spectrum, and then shut back together, and it's like, okay, get back on with your life. And I had to piece together all this crap that happened to me. It ended up being the greatest thing. Like I said, it was the greatest thing that happened to me and the worst. But it was a really life-changing experience. And there's a lot more to go into there. I just wanted to superficially gloss over it to answer your question about what I was talking about. So yeah.
I said that I actually feel you, because I think I had actually had that experience before, because when I was in Ecuador, when I was very younger, I started to study a lot about the energy, science, the mind, and that how everything's all connected, just literally just being baffled by everything. And that something, and then literally something, I needed to go through this, because remember that I'm still so young, so I needed to go through this. So something happened to me in my life which changed so drastically, which it caused my life to literally go like this, like a wavelength all the way down. But you know how wavelengths are, you go back up. And so in that point, sometimes I started to develop this thing, because I when I was in Ecuador, I practiced this meditation of like tensing the crotch area, of like charging the energy in the root chakra, and after going up towards the crown. I feel like ever since I've done that, I've been like holding on charged energy in my back, because every time when I felt embarrassed, when I felt scared, it would always crackle on my back, my spine. It would always crackling, and I just felt that sensation of like sparks on my spine. And then every time, yeah, I just literally felt that every single time when I got embarrassed or shy or whatever type of emotion I feel, like happy or even exhilarated, I felt that in my spine. But now I'm at a certain point in my life where, yeah, I am rebalancing and retouching myself to how I been, and just remembering who I was, because I really disconnected and lost touch with myself. I even started to like meditate, yeah, like literally in that time span, I was literally just in myself. I felt like it, that now I just realized it right now, that I basically was like just basically just inside of myself, healing myself, waiting until reemergence happened. But for now, but
Mhm.
in that lifespan, I was just very just like very monotone, very just analyzing the world in a very left brain perspective of mind way of
Right.
thinking. And like do you have any? Do you guys have any insights of why I felt that charge in my back? Like, did I need to finish some type of routine, some type of practice?
That's probably the beginning of Kundalini rising, and an awakening in itself. And your root chakra is where you get both. It goes both ways. You get input from here and output from here, and input from down and output from down as well. So you may have had some kind of a conflict between the two there, which was being generated by the negative emotions you felt. It's going to be unique to yourself, so I don't want to say what it is for sure. So that is going to be something personal to you, which you will have to unfold for yourself. But Kundalini rising, when you get in touch with the energy and the root chakra, you can put pressure. If you keep pressure on the root chakra, on your perineum, it can stimulate the activation of energy, and it will primarily start as sexual energy. It's the stimulation of sexual energy, which then can manifest into physical movement, then willpower, then love or fear, then communication, then insight, inspiration, and then connection to the universe on a grander scale. And that just repeats itself. That goes on octaves. It's not like it happens once. It will constantly repeat, but you'll hit a new note. Like on a musical scale, you hit a new note. Each time when you've got all the notes together, you have something to play with, and then you realize there's a whole another version or a scale here. So you broaden your spectrum as you go.
Alrighty then. Just to say that, yeah, I saw on my computer screen that it said I have 10 minutes left. So do you have any final insights, Joshua, about Reiki? Anything?
Well, I have something that I think relates to both of your stories in a way.
Oh, sure, please.
And that thought is that experience of the death experience that is honestly far more common on high doses of entheogens than people realize. That experience is in a sense that's all of our programming of identity dissolving in front of our eyes. And so as each thing becomes not true to us in that point of perspective, that's yet another filter between what we really are and the identity we play in waking consciousness being removed. As each filter gets removed, more and more of that pure source light comes through. And so it feels very overwhelming as we begin to expand, because those little edges of our box start falling away. And we become that perspective of infinite consciousness. And from that perspective, we can see any answer, we can know anything. And it is very much like you were talking about, Anthony. It's very much a scale that spirals infinitely in octaves. And So if you think about it as far as octaves go, you look at your 7 chakras, right? Well, they're the 7 steps, and then the 8th step would be the first of 7 chakras on the next scale, right? And so we know that the root chakra talks about I am safe. All right. It is all about your physical identity of who and what you've packaged yourself up to be.
Survival of it, yeah.
And so as you feel embarrassed or in a social situation, that threatens your safety. And so that Kundalini energy of, you know, your evolving force, your divine essence, trying to push past that need to feel embarrassed again, that would create sparks as it burns through blockages.
Oh, no, that is very true. Cause the every time when I felt that, I even felt it like a like energy on my shoulders here, and just every single time it was like literally charged, but like it felt like movement like this, like a wavelength movement. Like I felt like it tried to kept on going up, but just for some reason it just stood stationary around my chest, around my back. It just never went up. And so you are absolutely correct in that statement, Joshua. That every time when I feel those emotions of negativity, of being embarrassed, shy, it went in conflict with the root chakra, because the root chakra is for safety, it's for survival, it's for being in depth with your person. And in my story, in a time span, I did not feel safe. So yeah, that really conflicted with my energetic field. So now at this time where I am right now, I am recentering myself here once again. You know.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
grounding, isn't it? Sorry, I just want to say the whole point of this year is it's the Yellow Earth Dog, and that's about a year about grounding and centering. So it matches up perfectly with what you're saying there about how now you feel like you're rebalancing, or getting back to the foundation in a sense. Nice. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
The throat chakra, which would be the next step after the heart chakra, right? So as that Kundalini is weaving its way up through the chakras and busting up all the blockages, it stopped at I am expressive. And so if you didn't feel that you could safely express yourself to speak without being ridiculed, then of course that's where it's going to stop.
Yeah. This really came full circle for me in my life, in the portion that I lived. Goodness.
It always does. That's life. We spiral endlessly.
That is so
always
true.
Climbing, but the same steps.
Oh my God! No, literally, I'm so grateful for the both of you just taking the time just to come out to talk to me. Like literally, you really just made me realize it right now. Like, oh my gosh. Well then, so one thing that I always ask people when I interview them, because we have 3 minutes left, the both of you, that just any final thoughts about people who are struggling with life, and that what would you wish to tell them if you were on a jumbotron? Like it's everyone in the world, everyone in the entire world.
I have one. Really quick. Imagine that there is a rose right in front of you, and then put another one to your right, and another one right behind you, and another one to your left. And then imagine there's a rose above you and one right below your feet. And then connect all of them with a line, so that there's a line or a vine or a root, whatever you want to call it, connecting all of these roses into one shape that looks like a diamond around you. So when you're feeling like you're struggling, you're depressed, you're angry, you're upset, any negative feeling, visualize this diamond made of roses. Take those feelings and let them fill up this diamond. And then take this diamond and go ahead and shrink it down to where it fits in your palm. From there, you can go ahead and put that in your pocket to deal with those problems as you're ready. Because you don't have to deal with them right now. You can come back to center right now.
That's great, Josh.
Spot on. So great. I am humbled by your presence, Joshua.
I can't take the credit for that. I learned that from Jeffrey Allen, and I firmly recommend his energy work lessons.
Oh, I'll definitely look into that. So what were you, Anthony? Any thoughts? You're on a Jumbotron and the entire world is watching you right now. What would you tell them for people who are struggling in the world and who are facing troubles?
I would say to anyone, love others like you love yourself, and love yourself like you love another, or the person you love the most. And let that start to take over in those times of trouble, and just begin to see everyone as your family. Begin to see your enemy as your brother, and start to see things from their perspective. The empathy is the greatest gift we have. We are very disconnected from each other. So empathy, I would say, is a great tool to wield in balancing and bringing more love and positivity into your life. Empathy.
That is, oof, it hits me right in the heart. Like an arrow.
An arrow of love.
That's very true. Okay, so next time are we gonna do this chat next time as well? Because you planned it out with your friend. When would you want to do it? Next Friday or next weekend?
Sure, that's a good opportunity to set something up for next weekend. Yeah, we'll speak to some people in the group and see. Maybe we'll start building up another. Or maybe we can even start integrating this into the Spirit Side chats as well. So, yeah, let's just go forward with that aim to do something next weekend, and we'll see who start getting more people involved. Sure.
Yeah, definitely. We'll do that then. All right, then. So, my brothers in arms, my cosmic beings, I bid you a farewell, the both of you.
You too. Very nice to speak to you guys. Brandon, love your channel. Love what you're doing.